Hi, this is Monica Conway, and I'm really happy to be here with everyone today. I'm here with my counterpart, Zoe Williams, and we are here to talk about what it means to move from wannapreneurship into entrepreneurship. And so Zoe just did a great call about the state of the Black Union, and one of the things that we talked about is the need to take control, economic control, and create financial sovereignty. So we are here to get any questions answered around that. I want to thank everyone who is here for showing up and showing out and coming in at the last minute. We kind of gave you some short notice, but it's always a sign of people that are really interested in making life different, that they show up, even when it's inconvenient. So Zoe, welcome.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate being here. The show was crazy. Let me just thank you for participating in that show. And again, I think what we covered is needed, and this is a step to really refining what it is that we're trying to do and how we can take it to the next level.
Right. So, Zoe, before we jump in, I'm going to talk about a little bit of the definitions around entrepreneurship and wannapreneurship and all this stuff. But is there anything that you want to say to kind of kick us off?
Well, let me just say this. The one thing that I know for certain, right, because the sister on the show today alluded to it when she talked about how Black people as a community, we're not a monolith, right? And I totally respect that idea, and I don't assume that we are. As I said to her, I think every culture in America isn't a monolith, and I'm speaking of ethnic background.
Sure.
So with that said, that doesn't justify our separateness. And I think now more than ever, we need a collective economic focus that's solely designed on building our communities up from the ground up to where they're not dependent on the state or they're not dependent on any other outside group. You understand?
Correct.
There's no reason African Americans shouldn't have a private school industry where we educate our own children about who they are. And that education is on par or surpasses what is deemed as public education today. There's no reason. If Jews can have their own public or own private, privatized school system that they educate their students in, we should be able to have ours, and we should be able to finance it as well.
Correct.
I'm a little turned up. I know it's right after the show. Please forgive my fervor.
It's great. It's great. We need this. In other words, and I got what the sister was saying. It's interesting because she talked about internalized racism. The Black paper, right, is all about internalized racism. It is about how we have dealt with the impact of the psychological warfare campaign that has been enacted against us, right? And it started with, my daddy was a Black Panther, right, and has been in prison for 40 plus years and has been sort of enemy of the state number one, right? And so it started with trying to really annihilate, to make sure that there were no children of the revolution that would carry on the revolution, right? So the whole campaign was about making sure that those revolutionaries were effectively silenced so that their children wouldn't get any bright ideas. Now, I tend to be a bit of a rebel in this regard. But then it went on, like, you were talking about the video that you showed today with the young brother that was talking about the rapper, and he was talking about how, the next maneuver was to quell racial pride. And that began with controlling the narrative, right, to speak about what the sister was saying earlier today, if you control the narrative through the blaxploitation genre of films, right, which showed us as like kind of hustlers and pimps and prostitutes, right? And then that got transferred into the later iterations of hip hop. And so the reason that I've always been so such a student and a teacher of hypnosis is because I understand that the psychological warfare game is real, and and to condition us out of self-pride has real implications about our ability to get together and coalesce and organize and act in our own economic interests versus not.
Right.
Right? We can't do it if we're not internally organized. We just can't. We won't. We won't stay in the game long enough. We won't, we coalesce around our pain, but not our vision. Right?
Wow.
We coalesce around our pain,
Excuse me, team.
but not our vision. And so we are going to talk about some solutions. But one of the things I think we have to get clear about is we have to get clear about the root causes of why we can't move forward or why we have such a difficulty in moving forward. I think that there are really profound yet simple solutions. I think business and entrepreneurship and business is in fact the engine through which economic development happens. If we develop businesses as individuals and collectively, then we can take control. Like I said earlier today on the show, 1.9 million solopreneurs in this country. If every black solopreneur were to hire a single black person, we would eradicate black unemployment. That's the truth.
Wow.
But we have to be entrepreneur-minded to be able to do that. And so, but what I find is many folks that, because, Zoe's a big proponent of the Black Mastery Program, and there's a reason for that because it really does begin to do the work of decolonizing the mind, right? Really getting you clear and getting you a clear vision by which to begin to move forward. And the challenge that I find that we have is that we tend to function out of a paradigm of the owned versus being the owner, right? We tend to function out of a paradigm of being owned. And so what does that mean? I find, because I've worked with entrepreneurs, mostly black entrepreneurs all over the world, and typically we have a very difficult time selling. We have a very difficult time getting strategic business models in place and strategies that really help us develop real cash machines, right? We have a difficult time with the actual transactional nature of money making, and I see it over and over and over again. So people ask me all the time, why don't I make what I'm worth? And I say, you do make what you're worth. You are making what you're worth. If you were worth more, if you could establish your value more in the marketplace, you'd be having more money. Right, because you either have results or you have reasons. You either have the results that you want or you have a story about why you can't get that. And so I think that when you're talking about moving from wannapreneurship to entrepreneurship, you have to begin to get very clear about the identity of either. Right? I define a wannapreneur as a person who either is in a day job and wants to be in business and can't pull the trigger for whatever the reason. They get too scared to pull the trigger because they're too comfortable in their day job, not realizing that there's no security in that, right? That all across the country, we've got a lot of HNICs in corporate America losing jobs left and right because they really are trying to hire their own. So there's no certainty and security necessarily in having your day job. Or I define a wannapreneur as someone who is in a business, but it isn't profitable. In other words, it becomes a very, very expensive hobby. And that's in even worse condition. I've talked to plenty of entrepreneurs because they don't have a good, clear business model, because they don't have a mechanism for selling and converting prospects into clients, because they don't really have a strategic plan to take really massive directed action. They end up wandering in the deserts in the land of non-profitability year after year after year, putting their children's lives and livelihoods at risk. Because if you're in a business and it's not profitable, you are jeopardizing your children's future. Right? At some point, we have to stand up and say that we're going to be big boys and girls around business. Because it's really not for play. We have to be serious about the business of business. And so I think that's our prime opportunity, and I think it's our prime mandate, is to really begin to think strategically and collectively about how it is that we are going to begin to empower our economic future, but we have to begin with ourselves as individual entrepreneurs. We must begin with ourselves. So, we've got a lot of people pouring in here, so I just want to thank everybody who's joined, who we haven't necessarily heard from. I really appreciate you being here. And let's just get a couple of questions. What is your most burning question about Wannapreneur to entrepreneurship that I could answer? What's your most burning, simple question that you most want to know about what it means to move from Wannapreneurship into entrepreneurship?
I have a question.
Yes, your name and where you're calling from.
All right, my name is Chris Barclay. I'm calling from Houston, and I have a blog called Become.tv, and I use that to try to collect information and kind of build a platform about entrepreneurship and the community and things like that. And for me, one thing that me and a lot of my friends, we sit around and we try to get this thing going, but the thing that's the hardest is taking a risk, because we've all have gotten, I don't want to say comfortable, but developed that.
Right.
We're relying on that 9 to 5. We're relying on it. It's
so common. I love that you're speaking to this. Go ahead. Sorry. I love that you're speaking to it because it's so common.
Yeah. Well, and the thing is finding out when do we take the risk. We go back and forth about, well, I'm taking the risk this month. I got a little money saved, and then it comes back to, well, I need these benefits, and that's the hardest part for us is knowing when to take the risk.
Right.
Scared of branding because we don't want to ruin other opportunities with the 9 to 5 and all these things come into play.
So can I give you a little feedback around that?
Oh yeah, please.
And I so appreciate you bringing that up because I hear it all the time. And I remember back to 15 years ago when I first took the leap. It seems like it was just yesterday. I've been a full-time entrepreneur for 15 years and have run a lot of coaching organizations. I've made my clients over $6 million in their businesses with my coaching. And they've mostly been brothers and sisters. So the myth that, that the black folks ain't in business, we are in business and we're profitable. But a lot of times we need to have some support and some guidance and stewardship. So to speak to that fear to take the risk, here's why people don't take the risk. Because they don't realize the opportunity cost or the consequence that they are experiencing by staying the same. In other words, like I talked to a brother just the other day, right? And he's a 9 to 5, and he wants to take the leap. And when we really ran the numbers, because this is a strategic financial exercise. It's not something that you can just up and do one day. You actually have to plan an exit strategy, and you have to plan a financial strategy that makes some sense. You have to have a business model that says, this is the point at which I can make the transition. And until you do that, you have to straddle. But the thing is, because we never make that strategic plan, we're just kind of shooting in the dark, and we don't know when to take the leap. And we also don't know what it's costing us to stay the same. When I was working with this brother the other day, yeah, he had a $100,000 a year job, but when we calculated the upside of his business, when we really got clear, it was at least $1 million a year. And so we often don't take the risk because we don't understand the price we're paying for staying the same, and we don't have a strategic plan. Does that make sense?
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah. A lot of sense to me.
Yeah.
Great.
I also think, and if I can chime in for a second, I also think that we have to become fearless when it comes to going back to our community or investing in our community. And I always tell people, and Veronica and I have had this conversation a million times, you're really going to have to face those fears on the inside. Because fear, if you don't deal with it, it's a part of the business plan that you're writing. So if you're writing a business plan in order to escape, if you haven't had a sit down with those fears and dealt with your fears face to face, you've effectively written those fears into your business plan. And as I was explaining to someone today, I said, positivity or any thought, whether it's positive or negative, is a creative force, right? So if you have positive thoughts, you're actually creating a reality. If you have negative thoughts, you're also creating a reality. So at the end of the day, if you haven't dealt with the fear, you're actually writing failure into your business plan. Does that make sense?
Yeah, because people leak their psychology all over their businesses. I see it every day.
That's
they leak their fear all over it. They leak their procrastination all over it. They leak their financial mismanagement all over it. They leak their inability to focus all over it. I mean, believe me, because you can't divorce yourself from how you show up in your company. So whatever the habits and ways are that you operate in your personal life, you have got to get that straight and get it set up so that.
Wait, can somebody mute? Can somebody?
Yeah, I'm gonna
mute their phone.
I'm gonna mute them. Hold on.
Yeah, no, at this point.
It's all good. We know it. We know you're living your life. We know you gotta take care of the family and the baby. We know. But let's mute the phone so we can hear.
Yeah, I've muted where the thing is. So yeah, absolutely. So I love where you're looking though, because that's the first thing that we have to get in control of, so that we can actually show up and run a business that's effectively separate from us, that we can impact, where our behaviors don't leak all over, our personal behaviors that are detrimental, but they don't leak all over the business. It's really important to get that straight. It's very important to get that straight. Because you'd be amazed. And I've seen this when people, especially when they start making real money sometimes, they will undermine and sabotage their business at certain levels, because deep down inside they have deep-seated beliefs that they don't really deserve to progress beyond a certain economic threshold, a financial threshold. So they will undermine and sabotage the business without even really knowing it. They just keep finding that they end up in some dire straits with regard to the business. So we have to get to the root. So I've come into businesses a lot and found those patterns of behavior and have people realize, wow, I'll go and I'll make a decent amount of money, and then I'll do something subconscious and I'll undermine it, and then I'll be back down to zero again. And I'll go up and then I'll go down. And that happens more often than you can imagine, because people aren't aware of the subconscious patterns and the back of mind considerations that they're bringing into the table, and that they're leaking all over the business.
Right.
Any other questions?
Right.
Any other questions?
Can I add something? Another question on top of that one. This is Chris.
Sure.
What about in that roller coaster the fear of having to go back to a 9-to-5 while you're? Because my thing is, okay, say this takes off, I'm all positive about it, and I experience the reality of having a down moment. Not going back to a 9-to-5 for survival is part of that fear. But is there something wrong with having to go back?
Notice how in the vision, this is a deep piece, notice how in your vision of leaving is a presupposition that you're going to fail. Right? It's like there's a presupposition that you're going to fail in your vision. And so we can't, the subconscious mind, this is why I study the subconscious mind so much. That's why I do the Black Mastery program. That's why I'm a master hypnotist, because I believe in having strategic business, being a strategic business owner, but I'm also dedicated my life to understanding the mindset of black people. Right, and the subconscious beliefs that keep us where we are, right? The internalized racism, the things that have gotten baked into our psychology, right? So the subconscious mind and the way that it works, it can't move towards both what it wants and what it fears at the same time.
Oh no! Say that. Wait, say that one more time.
The subconscious mind, the subconscious mind, which is the mind that's running your life, by the way. We think it's our conscious mind. We think if we get up and we go, what we want, I want that, I'm doing that. It's not our subconscious mind that's running the game. The thing that's running the game is the subconscious mind. And so that subconscious mind cannot...
Veronica,
could I please say something?
Fear. It is our fear in a lot of cases that's moving us to do something. That's moving us to change our lives. Some people are afraid to be a failure, so they use that fear as a motivational, tool. Are you saying it's the same kind of fear?
No, it's. So I'm sorry, the gentleman. Did you have a question? I'll answer both questions. Did you want to say something?
Oh yeah, I just wanted to make a statement.
Yes.
Yes, I am Entrepeneur. I am a big fan of Zoe Williams and Jeff Brown and Uncle Bobby. I'm a Facebook follower also, and I'm very concerned with the state of capitalism. Now, one thing that is very interesting that I heard you say is that most people put their psychology in their financial plan, and I think that is true. We have to understand that capitalism was based on a shark system where the big fish eats the little fish, and there are systems involved in capitalism that are structured with a psychology to hold certain people down.
I agree with that. I agree with that. In mega capitalism, I agree with that.
Now, when we talk about capitalism, I heard you hear so many things about it, but you rarely hear truth. Truth is neither positive or negative. It just is. And when we talk about capitalism, we speak on it as if it's a thing that we have control of. And this is a system. This is a system that is purposely made to keep the 99% at the top.
Agreed.
Well, the 99% at the bottom and the 1% at the top.
Agreed.
Right. So
agreed. And there, because my dad was a Marxist. My dad wanted to overthrow the government. So I grew up studying Marx and Lenin and Stalin and understanding the capitalist system. So I get that. I gotta put some folks on mute, and I apologize for that. But the thing is that we have still lost control of our economic. In other words, we used to have black businesses, and we used to have, in fact, I think like thousands and thousands. If you read Maggie Anderson, who's a friend and colleague of mine, Our Black Year, she talks about how there's been such a dissipation of small black businesses, and so because we lack the independence and the autonomy to be in business relationship with each other, then we end up, by definition, serving the capitalist machine because we don't have any options. We don't have any options because we're not doing business with each other.
Wow.
Right? So I'm not saying by any stretch of the imagination that capitalism is a perfect system. I'm saying that we have the responsibility in this day and time to take some authority and some autonomy over our economic lives. We must do that. We must do that.
Let's do it. How do we do it, though? Moving forward, how do we put a plan in place where everybody can participate? I do believe what you're saying, what you said earlier in terms of there has to be like a cleansing, like a flushing of some old negative, previously held destructive beliefs. We really have to get that out of play. But moving forward, what can we do right now that can change our reality, that can change our perspective, and put us on the right road? Veronica?
Well, I think that for one thing, I mean, it's just like with the whole reason that we had this call today, the whole reason that Zoe had the show for the State of the Black Union today is really about the whole economic blackout today, right? That really got generated out of Ferguson. And it is time, I think, for us to begin to march with our wallets. We have to march with our wallets. We have to march online, and we have to march economically. And so I think that is a positive first step. Like I said, but we also have to begin to actively support black businesses, actively find black businesses to support financially. And I think we have to, if we have the wiring and the aptitude and the capability and the desire, we need to figure out if business is for us, if entrepreneurship is for us. Understand that, despite whatever's happening around capitalism, this country was founded for the corporation. right? Everything is geared towards the corporation. And so if you're not in business, you're not maximizing your tax stuff. There's so many things that come along with being an entrepreneur that we don't get to realize, and we wonder why we stay behind. Now, to the brother's point earlier, not all of us are cut out to be in business. But I would say rather than continue to yearn and question and have this be an unmet longing that you have, I would say find out. Yeah. There's ways to find out if you're cut out for this. There's ways to figure out if you can build up a business model that will actually be sustainable.
How many people on this line are actually entrepreneurs? How many people on this line are actually active business owners or considering starting their own business? Is there a way we can tap into those people who are interested in doing that?
I'm unmuting some people. So who is an active entrepreneur? Anybody on the call?
I am. I'm somebody interested in becoming an entrepreneur. I am. I'm Chris.
Okay.
I'm interested too.
Okay. Tell me just a little bit about the business you're trying to start up. Veronica, laser focus real quick on him.
Okay.
Go ahead, Chris.
Oh, is it Chris Lawrence? I'm online. Hello? Yeah, there's two Chris's.
We're right here with you. Yeah.
I'm Chris Lawrence. So you know me.
All right, tell me a little bit about your. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about your business.
Well, I didn't start my business yet, but I'm actually working on it. I have some certifications I need, but me, I'm an engineer. I'm a civil engineer. In the construction business, there is a lot of money, and I studied civil engineering. I have a master's in it. Right now, I'm in the process of gathering mentors, people who actually own companies, and hang around with them and see how they do things and actually learn from them, see how you operate an actual business. Because I have a couple of CEOs that mentor.
Yeah, no, I think that's great. I think one of the most important things you can do in business is to be around people that are successful at doing business, right? You have to actually be in the presence of people, because if you look at like Michael Gerber, the E-Myth, the psychology and the paradigm of a person that's an employee is very different than a person that's an owner or an entrepreneur. And so I think one of the best things you can do is begin to expose yourself to people that actually are in the business of business.
Yeah, because one of the people that I have is actually, and one thing I have, in Veronica, that Black Mastery program, I've never heard of it, but Zoe talks so much about it. I don't think you could pay any marketing firm to do a better job than Zoe.
I know. Zoe's a believer. He's a believer.
Oh, my goodness.
He's a believer.
Whenever you listen to T-Radio V, BlackMastery.com, our sister Veronica Conway. My son listened to it. I watched him become a man. I mean, Zoe's doing a fantastic job. But, not to lie, I am a Christian. I guess I am. But let me tell you one thing I noticed. I mean, through reading the Bible, it changed my perspective on whom I've seen God is. And I listen to Dick Gregory a lot. One thing I've noticed is that, I mean, why should someone fear? I mean, fear is not part of my vocabulary. And I'm like, God didn't make me a half-human being. Why does a white person have that I don't have? The only thing they have is a white skin. I have everything they have. As for what makes me a human being, we get the same amount of oxygen. And this is the things that started teaching me to change the way I think. And it's just like I come to a point where, I mean, do you know I don't care if Obama is in the room. I won't get starstruck. I'll walk up to him and start a conversation with him. And I've been able to impress some of the finest minds I met. One of the 4 Black Star General in the country, MacDougall, I went somewhere. I met him. We spoke. He was impressed. Even the CEO of a current company, electric company in Illinois, I walked up to him. I asked him to be my mentor. I said, I'd like to have lunch with you. He was shocked the level of confidence I have to even walk up to him and ask him. He said, yes, we are going to lunch on April 30th. My mentor actually owned an engineering firm out of St. Louis. And one thing I wanted to kick in is that I think something this is called monarch mind control. I don't want to take the show from you, but I'll say this for everybody to listen. TV has shown us black men robbing, stealing, and killing 24/7, and we watch it for so long, it changed the way we think.
about ourselves.
Yes.
Yes, it's hypnosis. And now it comes to a point, even when the cop sees you, he thinks you're bad because TV has trained him.
That's right. That's a psychological warfare campaign. That's the psychological warfare campaign that has us view ourselves through a negative lens and has the rest of the cultures, the other cultures, view us as dangerous threats because we've been painted that way, and the whole planet's been hypnotized that way. That's what's happening.
And you are so right. And let me explain something to you that is so scary. In that same process, you have that people who do not even know who they are. Hello?
Yes.
Hello?
And
Hello?
You have people, they have been trained to the point that, I'm telling you, walk in a dark alley, you see a black person coming in, your first thing you're going to think, is he going to try to mug me?
Right.
That's your first thought. Right. I don't care what you tell me, it's your first thought.
Yeah, if you guys go over to theblackpaper.com, I break this whole piece down about conditioning and how
That's why I love you.
And how we do it. It's a free paper. If you go and log in, give me your name and email address, it will send you the black paper. And the black paper talks about internalized racism that we have experienced and how we got that way. And it talks about the way that they've trained people's subconscious mind to perceive us.
But
so
you know one thing?
Yeah.
At my job, I've experienced that. The first day I walked in, I had a suit, and everybody thought I was a technician. When they found out I was an engineer, and the guy started talking to me, asking me questions, the white guy who owned the place. I work for the government currently. And do you know what he said to someone, another black man? He said, I don't get this kid. He's a different kind of black. Just like that. He said his level of confidence, and he said he's just out of the roof. We don't get this man. He's just something different about him. Because I feel my mind, I say what I have to.
Right.
Yes, because it's just like, I respect everybody, they will tell you that. But I don't kiss up to no one. I'll speak my mind, get my point across in a respectful way. And to the point where people came and rubbed me off and started asking me questions. I mean,
so Chris, let me just say this: you seem to be pretty far advanced in this. What we're trying to do today on this call is to get people who are on the fence to cross the bridge from Wannapreneur to Entrepeneur. And I don't know very many people that are as good at doing that than Veronica. She has a comprehensive, laid out, proven, successful, concise plan to get people from point A to point B in terms of...
I'll buy it.
Actually...
I'll buy it. And give it to some of my friends.
Thank you, brother.
No,
but there's actually something deeper that we're doing, and we are going to be doing a boot camp for people that really is going to teach business.
Not only that, why don't you start a podcast too, girl? That'd be cool. Every morning, every week,
she's
everybody
dope, man. She's dope. I'm trying to tell you, she's dope.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I receive that.
A podcast, a blog, or something like that. You may not spill the whole beans, but give people enough to arouse their taste and come by it. It's a perfect way to advertise too.
Okay. Yeah, and we're working on some other stuff too.
That's why it's simpler.
Yes.
That's why you give people simpler, so you can buy the big thing.
Yeah. Thank you. One of the things
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
And I mean, this is one thing I'll say. I mean, I don't want to take over the show because I know people have valuable questions and things like that. I mean, I appreciate the work that you guys are doing. And if I'm a Christian, I don't believe I believe everybody's created equal. So white is not superior than black, and black is not superior than white. We're all the same. But at the same time, I appreciate the work that you guys are doing. Trust me, Zoe.
Thank you.
Everything I've heard and all of you guys I hear, it changed the way I think and made me a better man. And I truly greatly appreciate that. Keep up the good work. Don't think people are not listening. People listen.
Thank you, brother.
The way they think. I appreciate that.
Seriously, thank you. I appreciate it.
You could knock me off the grid now. I mean, I don't want to steal the show. Now it's time for me to shut up and listen. Because the best leaders listen.
I appreciate it.
Let's do this. Appreciate your thoughts, and listen. I'm always grateful to hear about a black man that has confidence. That is a very powerful thing. And so I wanted to see if there's any more questions, and then I'm going to extend an opportunity. If people are serious about crossing over and wanting to move from
Veronica, I would like to have your email, please, because there's a lot of great ideas I'd like to run them by you as well. I mean,
so I'm going to, so listen, I'm going to give you a way to, and everyone a way to kind of follow up. And if you go to w2ebootcamp.com, that's letter W, number 2, letter E, bootcamp.com, there is an application there that will let me look a little bit, peer into what it is that you want and what you may want around moving into entrepreneurship. And you can put in all your contact information, and I will follow up with you and have a brief conversation with you about whether or not, entrepreneurship is the right fit for you, whether it's like, and what's in the way of you having it. Like, really, is it the fear piece? No, it's W2E, letter W, number 2, letter E, bootcamp.com, W2ebootcamp.com.
Hey, sister, I'm Haitian, so I hear with an accent, I speak with one. Bear with me, okay?
Sure.
I'm pretty sure you heard the accent when I was speaking.
Yes. W, the letter W, the number 2, the letter E, bootcamp, BOOTCAMP.
You definitely hear from me. You hear from me.
.com. Great. Okay.
Absolutely. And Veronica, this is what I would like for you to also do. For a lot of people, and rightfully so, we're a brand-driven society. I'm not going to buy a pair of shoes unless they're Nike, or I'm not going to buy a suit unless it's, Hugo Boss, or Versace. We're a brand-driven society when it comes to consumerism. A lot of people are like, well, who the hell is Veronica? And why should we care about Veronica? If you could speak for a moment about the corporations you've coached and the businesses and the individuals that you've coached, on from Iyanla Vanzant on over to the NBA. If you could speak to your expertise and why you're valuable to these corporations, and in turn, why you would be valuable to all of these people who are on the line trying to matriculate from Wannapreneur to Entrepeneur.
Yeah, so I've been really blessed. Thank you, so, and I'm I get a little blushy when I have to brag about myself, and so I don't mean to brag, but I've been blessed, man. I've worked with Fortune 100, the NBA, Development League, the NBA Player Development Association. I've coached truck drivers.
You've worked with Zoe.
I've worked with Zoe. I've coached truck drivers, CEOs. I've coached one sister and her team. She was a CEO of a $55 million company. She's a sister. And, we generated, me and her team, I coached her and I coached her team, and they generated $5 million in 30 days. So the reason that organizations bring me in is because I get results on the ground, and I mean all across the economic strata. So at one point, I made almost $1 million training financial coaches that were working in low-income communities, so the toughest cities in America. We went in and we trained their case managers, trained their social workers to shift and empower the lives of those in low-income communities that were coming out of prison, coming off welfare. We help them totally shift the paradigm. So it doesn't matter at every level of and Iyanla Vanzant is a friend of mine. In fact, she's on the Black Mastery program, and I coached her a while back around getting back on Oprah. Right? So I did some hypnosis and some NLP, some timeline therapy with her about and let her visualize and break through her fear to get herself back on Oprah. So I don't take credit for that. I just know that I was a participant in her subconscious process that allowed her to create room for having done that. And so you name it, I've coached it, because I've really dedicated my life for the past 15 years. I founded the world's first African-American Coaches Association. We did the very first Black model with Black Mastery, the first Black coaching methodology, and we brought coaching into the Black space by partnering with the National Urban League and partnering with Fraser Net Power Networking Conference and partnering. So I've been in this space for about 15 years just getting results. I mean, to me, it's just about getting the results and getting the results for Black people. And I think that at this moment in time, we have got to redirect our outrage and our fury. And we have every right to feel that way. But we have to redirect that into doing positive, productive, proactive things and making a profound decision to actually change the game. It's our time to change the game. That's it. Like, enough is enough. But to do that, to find the courage and the fortitude to do that, we often have to take a look at what the root causes are of the stuff that's going on with us internally, and then get a clear strategy and a clear roadmap for creating.
So Veronica, let me. I'm sorry for interrupting you. You know, I love just listening to you speak endlessly. Let's do it this way. I know there's somebody on this line right now who needs some coaching. Would you be willing to coach somebody right now? Listen to their model, and you know how we go back and forth. I talk about how if fear is helping you write your business plan, then your model is really a muddle. It's not clear. A model is clear, but a muddle is confusing, right? So correct. If there's somebody on the line right now who wants to be coached by Veronica, would you be open to just walking them through a process?
Is there somebody that has a business that they're struggling with?
My name is Benny Murphy. I spoke with Zoe last night, Facebook. I have a computer repair business that I'm trying to do. I have one in South Carolina. I had it for about maybe 10, 15 years, but I moved to Atlanta, Georgia for a job just because in that area seems like my business wasn't booming. But I'm starting back out in the Atlanta area to try to do computer repair.
Okay.
You're the brother that's married with, he's the brother that's married with 5 kids, yeah?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right, brother. I remember
tell me your name again. I'm sorry, tell me your name again. Last
Benny
name is
Murphy.
What's the first name?
Benny with a B.
Benny. Okay, hey, Benny.
How you doing?
You're in a computer. I'm great. Thank you for stepping up. So you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
So you said you have a computer repair business, and so and you've just moved. And when you left the old where you were before, you said it seemed like the business wasn't thriving. So what was happening?
It's like I did the work for my people, and it's like every time I called or whatnot, they didn't have no more issues. I guess I fixed everything so well to where it wasn't where I can steady turn clientele or get return business from them. But I mean, I was pretty successful in South Carolina, but it just started to go down.
So in other words, what I'm hearing you say, let me see if I have this correct, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. What I'm hearing you say is that there was no sort of overarching strategy for how to incentivize repeat business. So they would come in and they would do a one-off, and then, because going out and finding a new customer is expensive, right? So your real job is to figure out a way to incentivize the customers to stay, because it's so much less expensive to maintain an existing customer than it is to go find a new one.
Right, and I want new customers, of course, but if I can get a steady business relationship with, like I had a real good one, a doctor's office that I had in the area, and they would call me often. That was one of my biggest clients, but it's just that was one of my main ones, and that was like my only one. But I was doing the business while I was attending school, so another reason why I just wanted to try to IT field and the career-wise, and like the business where I'm working for now, it just seems like I'm stuck, and I'm just feeling the itch again just to be on my own and do my own thing.
Well, there's two things. As I hear, sometimes when we go into business and we have a trauma, I call it venture trauma, and we set out to do something, and then maybe we're successful, and then maybe we have a big loss. Right?
Right.
We get scared.
Right.
Right? We get scared of trying again, because it's like, do you know what this took to get us to do this the first time?
Right.
The subconscious mind goes, you expect me to do that again?
Exactly.
So that's where you're at, right? You're a bit traumatized, right? And so when you're traumatized, what happens to your behavior? What do you, in other words, how do you know that you're acting a little bit traumatized today? What do you do that you know puts the brakes on how you operate in your business?
I guess not wanting to take the leap and just do it. I got complacent with the job, and it's just like you said, having to start over again and how to build clientele. Like I had a clientele in South Carolina. Like I don't know anybody here. I only got a few family members here. I guess just getting out there pounding the pavement and trying to find businesses and customers to have a steady business relationship with. That's where here's my question. Do you, and I want you to get really just butt naked honest here. Okay.
Do you believe that if you did that, because the list, the initial list that it takes to get a business going in a new place, the list can be tremendous, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
If you really, I want you to imagine floating into the future and just imagine setting up the business.
Right.
And really going for it.
Right.
What do you believe? What do you see as true about actually doing it? What happens?
I'm not. I mean, what do you mean? What happens for
when you imagine really going for it? When you imagine really doing it, what do you see?
I see me have myself, running a big IT firm or company where I can do repairs, not just in one area, but having places in a lot of different states. That's my big dream, and to come up my own. My biggest dream has always been to have my own line of computers.
Great. So what stops you? What's in the way?
Myself.
Okay. And what about you is in the way?
I guess, I gotta get the knowledge base for it. Like I've been to school, but I just gotta get the knowledge and being confident in the knowledge that I already have. And I guess getting with the right people to pick their brains on how to do it.
Yeah, so sometimes we get something called not good enough, not smart enough, not viable enough.
That's why I feel.
So you keep gathering information instead of making decisions.
Right.
Because you're trying to prove smart enough. Like if I just had enough information, I could pull the trigger. Right.
That's exactly where I'm at.
Let me ask you this. This is where it starts to get deep. So how much time do you spend gathering information, kind of dickering around, kind of dabbling at it? How much time every week do you actually spend doing that? In other words, how much time does it cost you?
Right now, I haven't had time, but usually when I was doing it before, I would spend. I guess I wouldn't spend enough time, maybe 2 or 3 hours a week. I mean, just not enough time doing it.
Right. So, but what's it costing you? In other words, what are you giving up to be in this sort of ambivalent, not smart enough, got to gather information? What's it costing you? In other words, when you get the business the way you want it, what do you get to have? How much money do you get to have? How much freedom do you get to have? Like, what do you get to have when you actually get it the way you want it?
What I get to have for what I want. I want more money. I want a profitable business. I want it to be successful. I want to be known. I mean, that's what I want.
Yeah, I understand that. So your current state of fear and that venture trauma and that need to prove that I'm smart enough is all costing you your dream.
Exactly.
So
That's
what's the one thing that you believe that's true, that you deep down inside, besides I'm not smart enough and I can't do it again because I'll fail? That's really what you're saying. If I do it again, I'll fail, and I'm not smart enough anyway.
Right.
Is there anything else that you know that you believe that is really robbing you of your dream?
I guess finance means being able to actually do it. You know, having the funds to grow my business. That's
right.
That's what
because we have this belief it takes money to make money, instead of understanding that if we get the right model and the right habits and the right massive action in place and the right psychology, we can make money at will. That's what business is. It's the ability to make money at will.
Right.
Because in no other enterprise do we have the opportunity to go out and decide to charge money for something and actually bring money in the door. Right? We can make money at will, but only if we think we can.
Right, and that's so true, because me and my wife was just talking the other day, because, you know, we've been going through a hard time here lately, and she was like, you got to do something. She said, you got to do, she tells me, Benny, you smart. I know you smart. I have so much confidence in you. She said there were times when you would be in South Carolina, and we would have no money in the bank, and you go out and spend 2 or 3 hours just doing work, and you come home with $600. Right.
So you can do that as an employee, but the thing is can you adopt an entrepreneur's mindset so that you can actually, because it's that same hustle, but you apply it to an empire instead of to a gig.
Right.
Right? You apply it to empire building instead of a gig. Right?
I understand.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
So how much longer are you willing to keep it the same?
I can't do it no longer. I got to do something.
Right. It's your time.
Right.
It's your time. And the thing is, if you have the goods, and hey, you got a wife that supports you. She's like, you're so smart, right? I mean, does it get any better than that? It's just that we have to get enough internal congruence, enough internal clarity that we understand that we can do far more than we think we can. I mean, because you got the goods. You got the goods. It's pulling the trigger.
Right.
So,
and that's,
again,
I believe that's what my problem is, right? They're pulling the trigger and just doing it.
Yeah. So if
Veronica, this is Joe. I have a quick question. Is that like a failure to launch?
Yeah.
You've heard of that it's like failure to launch. It's almost like you don't want to leave the nest kind of mentality. Can you speak more into that?
Yeah, because the thing is the way the subconscious mind works is it won't move towards what it thinks will bring us pain. It only moves towards what it thinks is going to bring us pleasure or comfort. That's why I said earlier, you can't both move towards what you fear and what you want at the same time. The subconscious mind won't let you do it. It'll just stutter. It'll sabotage, it'll undermine, it'll procrastinate. It won't look like it. You'll tell yourself it's something else. But it's
so
really
in a way, you're telling me that he is actually afraid to succeed.
Yes.
He has a fear of success.
Or he's afraid to fail. In other words, the way he's picturing failure in his own mind, not smart enough, don't know anybody, got to have money, I failed before, right? All of that is now how he's representing his entrepreneurial identity to himself. So that picture is bigger and more clear and more vivid than the one that says, I can do this, I got it, I can make money at will, I got it. So that whole that picture is what he's focusing on, and so that's what stops him from pulling the trigger.
So how do you get him across the bridge? Sure, who is it?
This is Ronan, and I'm glad that Zoe, and I want to tell the gentleman that came in before us talking about, he's in his own way. And in my situation, it's similar. I don't have the support system in order to promote me forward at what I thought at first, until I talked to not just Zoe and Miss Conway herself and a few others. And having done the entrepreneur adventure at first and failed, it has to start within you first. You have to realize when you're sick and tired of being sick and tired. If you look around your whole situation, in your bank account,
And he's like, you know what, I can't take this bullshit anymore.
Right.
Something happened.
Right.
So,
well,
you can't wait for a cheering squad, you know. And
that's right.
And I get why people do that. They wait for a cheering squad to say, yeah, you can do it and everything, and it helps. But you have to surround yourself with a new circle, because sometimes you're trying to make seasonal people full-time employees, and it doesn't work.
That's right. That's
Right.
right.
Yeah,
That's right.
yeah.
Listen. To people who don't have the entrepreneurial vision and spirit, we seem like aliens. We seem like weird, crazy people, right? Because we answering the call, right? We want to answer the call. We can't necessarily get support from our friends and peers and loved ones because they don't see the same vision. They don't see it the way we see it.
Yeah,
so it's hard to get their support. Yeah.
And that's why I want to tell you guys, like, thanks to you and Zoe, it's like I've tried to go out there and show people, like, look, you need to check this out. You know, check this program out. Oh, that thing costs too much. So I asked them, it's like, how much are you worth? Honestly.
Right.
It's one thing to sit there and go out there and buy, you know, red bottoms or a new car. Right. But what does that mean if you have to sleep in that car, or you have the new red bottoms and there's no lights on, or your rent is not paid? The eviction.
That's
right. How much you really worth, and what can you give back to not just yourself but your community? Because if you pay attention to the importance of your history, you will know what's at stake, and you'll take no shorts.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Well, see, we don't know how expensive it is to remain the same. See, we haven't calculated that really. We think that we know the price of everything but the value of nothing. We don't understand oftentimes how expensive it is to remain in the status quo. We don't realize that we're sitting ducks, like, if we keep everything the same. And so when we start to realize that the real price that we're paying for keeping everything the same, then you're right. We reach threshold. We say enough is enough. We reach threshold. We say this must change, and I must change it. And only until we take that on as an identity does anything begin to move. Nothing moves until we do. Nothing moves until we do. So I want to honor time. We've been here about an hour. I want to remind everyone that if in fact you know it's your time and you know that something needs to change and you want to get into community with like-minded people, we are going to be doing a boot camp that's going to be about moving from entrepreneur to entrepreneur. And so if you're interested in that and you know that something has got to shift, then I invite you to go to w2ebootcamp.com. It's letter W, number 2, letter E, bootcamp.com, and fill out the application there and just see. We can schedule a conversation and see if, in fact, entrepreneurship is the right fit for you, and if this could, and if you would want to kind of really decide to pull the trigger and make that move. I mean, when I work with folks and help them move into entrepreneurship, I always help them develop a very powerful exit strategy and a very powerful revenue model, and either you're hitting the numbers or you're not. So there's never any uncertainty about whether or not you can make that leap, because we have to plan for that. That's what we have to begin to do as Black folks. We got to plan to make those leaps. It's not arbitrary. It's not random. It doesn't happen upon you. It's a strategic, thoughtful process that's based on a solid business model. So if you think and you know and you sense that this is your time for that, then I really invite you to come and hang and have a conversation with me at w2ebootcamp.com. Fill that out, and I'll get back to you over the next couple of days.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to say, Zoe?
Hey, this is what I want to say. And y'all might not even like me for saying it. But
say it.
I don't do these I don't do these kind of things. I don't participate in these kind of things unless we get some level of result. And I'm tired of our people going on TV, the police done shot my baby or this or that. Mm-hmm. Well, we don't have the organization to own a police department. And when I try to put together things like this, it's for that purpose. So when the mafia was big,
there's
hey, the mafia, I don't know who's back there talking. Can we mute them?
Yeah, I'm muting him.
Yeah, go ahead.
When the mafia was big, if they had the police departments paid off in every city they were doing business, they had a working relationship with the police department because they had the finances to buy Not only police departments, you know, guys walking the beat, policemen, they had the money to buy the chief. They had the money to not only buy the chief, they had the money to buy the mayor. They had the money to buy the judges. So my point is, if we do not have an economic base in place, all we're going to do is be professional marchers and crybabies.
Exactly.
Now, I brought a sister to y'all whose job it is to build businesses for people. And guess what? She does this for white folks, too. But she decided to bring her Cal Berkeley educated ass down here to do business with us. Right? So I'm saying, instead of playing games, instead of making excuses, put your money where your mouth is and do business. If you got a business plan and it's shaky, this is the person you need to talk to. Now, anybody, most of the people that are on this line right now know that I promote businesses every week on my show, right? I promote business. Anybody can reach out to me and say, hey, Zoe, help me with my business. I'll promote it. The brother who just called in, I'm promoting his business next week, right?
Oh, cool.
And
Thanks,
I promote people for free. But that's not how business is done. It's just not. If we're going to recycle black dollars, it's got to start today. I'm coaching not only the consumer who listens to my show, but I'm coaching the person who runs the business. Y'all heard me promote Ramo Mart and the T-shirts that brother sells, right? Right? Anybody listening?
Yeah.
Y'all heard me promote Ramo Mart. Well, that kid is 28 years old, and he don't know the first thing about business, but I hook him up with Veronica, and I coach him every day. And I'm also coaching the customers that are pissed off with him because he doesn't know how to communicate. He doesn't know that customer service, right, is the key to a great business. Sprint is worth $7 billion. It's the worst service you can get on a cell phone. However, it's probably got the best customer service. So they're still doing business. I'm coaching both sides. So if I bring Veronica to you guys, it's disrespectful to not move on what we're trying to move on in order to change our circumstance and condition here in America. Now, if you're serious, get with Veronica. What is the website and the email address or whatever they need to do to contact with you?
It's W2, letter W, number 2, letter E, bootcamp. Wannapreneur to entrepreneurbootcamp.com. W2ebootcamp.com. And they just go and fill out the information, and I'll reach back out, and we will talk.
There it is. If you're serious, get at her. That's all I got to say. Get at her. No more excuses. No more killings in order for us to recognize that we're an economic powerhouse. How about that?
That's right. That's right. Awesome. Thank you, Zoe. I want to thank everyone for showing up and showing out today. It is amazing to always be in the presence of powerful brothers and sisters that want more for themselves and want more for their community. And so I always salute you and honor you for showing up and being that. Zoe, you know I love you and appreciate everything that you do and all of the ways in which you bring us to clarity about ourselves. So thank you.
Hey, you see? Let's see. Let's do it. I'm with you, hon. Let's go.
Okay. So everybody, this is Veronica Conway and Zoe Williams. We're signing off, and thank you again. And if you have and want to connect, like I said, go to W2ebootcamp.com, and we will connect and get your best business models crafted, devised, get your best questions answered. Thank you.